All right, cool. But like, so what are you doing these days? Like, where are you located, and like, what are you trying to, I guess, accomplish, real estate
Yeah.
wise?
Yeah. So I live in New York. I live in Manhattan. Um, as an underwriter for a mortgage lender, a mortgage REIT.
Okay.
Um, so that's what I've been doing the past 2 years or so. And I've been enjoying it a lot. But at the end of the day, um, it is something that I've kind of like moved into to understand, real estate finance a little bit better, to kind of get myself in that world, build connections and just, understand the weeds of how to underwrite a property, and, what I'm looking at and where the risks are. And, it's kind of something that you need to understand at the base in order to kind of take your career forward later. Um, Obviously, you don't need to do that, but that's the path that I've chosen. I think it's a good path to be on. So that's where I'm at right now. I've been on this team for a few months now. I've been at the company for about 2 years, and it's a good spot to be. As for my personal career, personal, real estate goals, I'd eventually like to own a property and add value there. I find that the real estate market, especially in the tri-state area, is a very challenging place to be. Um, so that, I think, has been a large blockade as to why I've not been able to get a lot of traction and see a lot of deals work numbers wise. Um, Given it's my first real estate transaction, I'm sure that a more advanced investor would, one, have more money to put in, be willing to take a little bit more risk because they know what they're doing better, and maybe have more vision as to what they could do with the property. Um, Given that it's my first property, I don't want to take a significant amount of risk, and I don't want to be like too creative in terms of kind of going crazy with you know separating the house out into X amount of units and adding a bedroom and adding, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at right now. Rates have been kind of crazy this past year since I joined, and I am really only looking in the tri-state area. 2 hours outside of New York City, 2.5 to 3 hours outside of New York City, because I don't want to be hopping on a plane to go visit the property, or just blindly trusting a property
Yeah.
manager. Yeah, so
Gotcha.
that's where
So
I'm at.
you said you want to find your first property, put value into it, but what would you want to do with it? Are you trying to flip? Are you trying to hold it as a rental? Like, what's your first property goal?
My first property, I would not want to flip. I don't want
Okay.
to put money into something and then flip it and then just get cash back out. I would like to refinance and rent the property out.
Okay, so you're looking to burr it. You're looking to,
Yep.
buy it, fix it, refi, rent out.
Yep.
Uh, what do rental rates look like? Do rentals make sense in the tri-state area? I don't know that area at all. Like, does it make sense a lot of the time, or
From what I've been seeing, no,
okay?
no.
Hmm. Because those prices, I mean, I'm assuming, I'm not sure, but I'm assuming those prices are really high, like the purchase prices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been
So,
looking at these. I'm not looking in like Jersey City and Manhattan and Brooklyn. I'm
mhm.
looking, in Monmouth County, New Jersey, or um, Stamford, Connecticut, kind of, the towns up in northern Connecticut. But it doesn't. They're very high, and the the rents don't really cover the mortgage, or at least they do by a few $100s. It's not, nothing that I can kind of get behind. So
well, that's the thing. Like, it's just about finding the right deals. Because, like, let's say asking price, yeah, none of them make sense. But what if you got stuff at 60% of the asking price? So does it still not make sense, or do you think those would start to make sense, rental wise?
I think they could make sense.
Okay.
I think it's challenging because a lot of these properties, a lot of the good investment properties, get taken off the market very quickly. So
Okay.
I would be shocked. I guess it can happen. You kind of put your bids out there, and it can happen. So
It's a volume game, man. Like most of
Yeah.
it is no's, most of it's rejection. I'll like completely honest. So I guess knowing that you want to attack rentals, you want to buy something, fix it up, and hold it as a rental long term. I see two routes in general. I see one, you can stick to the area that you want, the tri-state area, high price. It's just a matter of picking a marketing strategy, any works, whether it's MLS or off market, to find really low discount deals, getting those 60% of the value. And that's what we do. That's how it all works. Is most of the time you get no, sorry, not interested. Sorry, not interested. And I feel like a lot of those, even if they are interested, but they don't want to sell low, you probably still have realtor friends or something, get, I don't know, referral finder fees out of too. But for the ones that are rare and you get someone's like, yeah, actually, I am willing to sell below at this low price because of XYZ, whatever reason that they're distressed. Or you can find an area close by because most really expensive areas have a spot like 30, 40 minutes, an hour out where it would make more sense to have rentals where the price point's a lot lower, the rental rates are better. It's just like a better chance. But it's also just comfort level of like what area you're actually comfortable with. So those are my thoughts. Like just after hearing that, what do you think you do location wise?
Um, what do I think I would do? Well, that's kind of what I've been doing. I mean, I'm not looking in 30 minutes outside of Manhattan. I'm looking at 2.5 hours outside of Manhattan. Um,
Okay.
so I understand that Manhattan is the most densely populated
Yeah.
area in the country, and as are Brooklyn and as are Jersey City, and it doesn't really get much better out. The further you go out, but eventually it does get to a point an hour and a half out where it actually is a lot more affordable.
Yeah.
It's just about understanding those markets. Yeah, I mean, if I were to able to acquire a property for 60% asking price, I'm sure it would work.
Okay.
I have had a lot of difficulty getting MLS access. Doesn't seem like that's something that a lot of realtors want to do. I don't know if it's just because I'm in the tri-state area or I don't know, but
Yeah. I
doesn't
mean
they have kind of yeah.
they're not supposed to give it, but if you
I
have a
know they're not supposed
friend
to give it.
or
Yeah.
connection somewhat that you can build a relationship and you have to incentivize them somehow. It's like, hey, if I ever find anything using your MLS access, because that's what I'm going to be looking for deals, you can represent me. I know you're not supposed to do it, so like don't go and tell your broker if you planning to do it. But if you want, you can get a couple listings out of it, a couple purchases and listings. Now, what have you started to do for your marketing? Like, what have you started doing to look for deals?
I have been talking to realtors, and they have been, kind of telling them my criteria, and they kind of send me over deals that they like. Some realtors are better than others. Some are kind of a little bit more basic and cookie cutter, and will kind of just set up an alert for me, which doesn't really feel like it's working very well. And then other realtors are very much more, investor friendly, and they understand what works. And then, at the same time, I'll kind of look around on Redfin, which I don't necessarily think is a great tool to actually find deals. However, it helps you understand what's out there.
Yeah, I mean, they're all the same, man. Like Redfin, Zillow, Realtor.com, they all pulled the data from the MLS.
Hmm.
Now, okay, so you think MLS, it sounds like MLS is the way that you're trying to find your first deal. Perfectly fine. You can definitely find deals that way. The two ways that you will, it's either you're going to find something right when they list it and like they're ready to accept an offer right away and you have to push the realtor, like the realtor will say, hey, I'll write up the offer tomorrow, and you got to say something like, hey, look, I know how these work. If I don't make an offer right now today, if we don't write it up, it'll be gone tomorrow. So it's either fast or it's like 7 months of follow-up. Like
Yeah.
that you make an offer and they don't accept it, they have a bunch of other buyers, and you follow up every single month. And even when it goes through escrow multiple times, maybe multiple buyers back out, then they come back to you and say, hey, we had multiple buyers back out. You've been checking in with me for like 8 months. Does this offer still stand? So it's like one or the other. That's how you get deals on the MLS. Most of the time for me, it's the follow-up game on the MLS. It's and I wouldn't rely on, like, definitely not rely on just whatever deals that they send you because they're not super reliable. Like you actually have to go out there and make your offers yourself. So you have to be talking to the listing agents. Either whether you're calling them, asking about the property, gauging where the seller who could be at on price if they're willing to make it work, or sending out like because I know you work full time as an underwriter, or if you're strapped for time, you can like send letter of intents or offers by email to all the realtors, and whichever ones actually respond to you, those are the ones you can start to contact and have conversation and about like if they're willing to accept 60% below or whatever you calculate. Not 60% exactly. So that would be like the best way. It's definitely not just relying on the auto prospecting searches, or just deals that they happen to come across.
Mhm,
It's a big volume game.
mhm, mhm. Um, yeah, I mean, I think the only deals that I've seen that are kind of coming close have been deals that are small multifamily units,
Hmm,
two to three units, kind
yeah.
of thing. A lot of the deals that are just single family rentals are just the rent is just not covering the mortgage expense or any sort of other expenses that I have to deal with. Um, and then, so the other aspect of this that's been making this challenging is that I anticipated to put less money into this going forward. I
Hmm.
didn't expect it to be as expensive as it was. Um, just based on the financing costs and kind of the extra fees and whatnot. I mean, the kind of the lower purchase price of a property that you're looking at, the more expensive those financing costs become just as a percentage. I mean, it's like if you're putting $100,000 into something, but all of a sudden you have like $9,000 worth of fees, like that's pretty significant. If you're buying $1 million property and you have $12,000 worth of fees, like it's not a hit or miss kind of thing. It's not a deal breaker. So
Well,
that's another aspect of it. Yeah.
how are you planning to finance your first purchase?
I have cash to be able to buy the property. I also was looking to finance, with a hard money lender generally.
Mm.
Um, but it's been more expensive than I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, hard money's expensive. I mean, it sounds if your strategy is to find a property, fix it up, and then refi out of it, whether you buy it in cash or hard money, like if you use cash, you're going to be technically in a much easier position to refinance and pull all your money out. With hard money, because of all those fees, because of all that interest, you have to get like a smoking hot deal to be able to pull your money back out and burr into the long-term loan.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the hard part about it is like you literally have to get like 50% ARV, super low, super low discounts. But I think now, if you have an idea of if you can finance it with cash or a mixture of hard money, yeah, I think you'll be good to go. It's just a matter of making consistent offers. How many realtors are you talking to every single day or right now?
So over the past few months, I got promoted at my job, so I
Oh,
have
nice.
kind of taken a step back from the personal real estate investing and kind of moved forward into my job itself. So currently, I'm not talking to too many. Previous to that, I was talking to three.
Nice. Yeah. Well, congrats on that. It's funny. I
Thank you.
started in the lending industry too. I lent on like mobile home slash
Yeah,
commercial trucks.
yeah,
I had an idea of like, oh, this is how the financing and stuff works.
yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that that's how you're starting as well.
No, it's interesting to kind of look at real estate investing from that perspective and understanding that background because it's where the majority of the money comes in the first place. So you
Yeah.
better understand it to an extent. So
Yeah. Yeah, but now now that you have the financing set up, you have an idea of what you want. It's literally just a volume game of reaching out to a lot of agents. And
yep,
it's like you're gonna call thousands to find your
y-
deal.
yeah.
That's the realistic name of the game, and I can't softly put it any other
Yeah.
way. It's just work.
Um, it is encouraging, or I don't know if encouraging is a word, but it is, I guess, eye opening that you're talking about offering 60%
Mhm.
the purchase price because it's not something I'd previously done. I was modeling out numbers with 80%, kind of
Yeah.
just like a obviously below asking price, but not something ridiculous. And even 80% was like trying to hard to make it work. So, um, my buddy actually just invested in a property, a just very very distressed property down in South Carolina, I think.
Mhm.
Very very beat up, like $75,000 property, putting $75,000 into it. but he's not going to visit it, and he's hiring a property manager to kind of work with him, and he fortunately has a buddy actually that has invested in real estate previously, so I think he's going in on it with him, or maybe he just kind of like talking through it with him. So maybe I can kind of connect, make the connection there and kind of talk to his friend about that stuff, because that would probably be helpful to have someone that has done it before. I mean, not
Yeah.
just you guys, but it's important to kind of have someone by your side that has experience with it.
Yeah, no, meet people locally to talk about because it's eye-opening, man. Like, when I said 60%, I'm like, I'm dead serious. Like,
Yeah,
um,
I have not thought to do that, to be honest.
and
I've only thought
and
like
I
80%.
understand exactly what you're thinking because when I started, I did buy my first rental, it was like 4 years ago, and that was my first property ever, and I did not offer 60%. I offered like 95%, 90% of the asking, and I was like, "Oh, yes, I got a great deal." And I cash flowed on it, we made, 200 or so bucks every single month, sold it after 2 years to launch more flipping and having more money for my business. But then at the end of the day, I was like, "Well, I didn't even make anything." I was like barely broke even. And I thought now, I was like, if I got a deal, my first deal at that 60% value, that would have been game changing. I just didn't know it was
Hmm.
possible.
Hmm.
Um,
When was
and
that?
it was when I met my first mentor. It was like 6 months after I bought my first property because I bought the first one with my money, conventional financing. 6 months goes by, and I was like, I guess I'll just save up for my job and then buy the next one. And you can do that. You'll be wealthy if you just continue to do that. But I was like, I want to keep doing this. And I found my first mentor. He was flipping houses, and I essentially took over his house flipping operation. And the deals that he was flipping, I was like, dang, he got these like insane prices. How? And then I started to see it. Then he's like, you do my marketing now. You do all these calls. And I was calling, offering homeowners directly on the phone. I never cold called. Uh, and he's like, call him. And just like, offer really low. I was like, okay. So I just started offering like absurd prices, 50% of what I thought the value was on Zillow or whatever. And eventually you get a deal. Like, it's a lot of no's, a lot of hate. But the cool thing about realtors is like most of them will be nice. Even if you're offering low, you can soften the blow for sure. You can talk to them and say, hey, like I know it's not what you're looking for, just based on what we talked about, but I am buying for a profit. I'm planning to well, not flip, but you can say that just so you're like
Yeah,
it
no,
gives you an edge. I'm planning to flip, planning to hold this as a rental, and I do need to be around this price point. Do you think your seller would even entertain that? And it's like, oh, like absolutely not. Like, hey, no worries, but I'm always looking. So if you ever have anything else, like send it my way. You can represent me. Like, it's just an
mm,
easy way to soften the blow. So you're not because it's uncomfortable to offer something that low. Um,
yeah,
and the thing
yeah,
about anything on the MLS is all of the deals can work, probably except for like the super new, brand new rehab ones. But anything, it doesn't have to look beat up. It just has to look not modern. Anything
yeah.
that's not super modern, you're like, hey, like it's not modern. It looks pretty clean, but you just don't know what the seller situation is because every seller that's listed on the MLS, they want to sell, but some are more motivated than others. Some have a very distressed reason. It's like I gotta sell this fast, and you won't
Hmm.
know until you talk to the realtor. So out of 1,000, you might get one, two. Like it's really like that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Let me ask you a question. Have you been seeing a certain type of transaction, or maybe a certain area, state, et cetera, that's been working more often, or is it just, mishmash of whatever you make what works?
Are you talking? You said
Is it like a
area, or what are you talking about
yeah,
specifically?
like are you seeing a certain type of transaction, whether, oh, they're looking at a very distressed property and putting a ton of money into it, or only looking at areas that are in rural areas? Like, are you seeing a certain type of transaction happen more often right now, or is it just a different situation for every investor?
Well, it's different for every investor because we target different things. So for
Yeah.
me, I'm not targeting rural. I target the city. I do not like anything out super far in the country because most hard money lenders don't like that. I don't like that. I've been burnt. So I'll look for specifically single family houses. And like I have a very specific buy box, at least 2 bedroom, at least 800 square feet, all the little things. But in terms of like type of transactions, right now, I'm not trying to flip for sure. The past
Why
year
is
was
that?
rough. Well, the past year when most of the country went through a little recession or big downturn at least, is we all lost money for the people that were
Hmm.
flipping. House prices were dropping, and like these were all textbook flips. Like I had multiple flips going on at once, and I could just see the prices dropping. Like we go to list to market, and you're like, yeah, I think it's gonna sell for a little less than 400,000, but I'm still gonna see like where it's at. And we list it for 400, and then next week we check the comps or the values, and we're like, whoa, like they dropped. The home houses that sell, like, all right, let's check it another week. We'll drop the price, and they just continue to drop and drop. And we're like, dude, like what's going on? What's happening? And no one was making offers, and that it was the scariest thing. And so now, like every market's gonna be different right now. So right now, I'm trying to wholesale more. I'm definitely trying to not flip, not take those risks right now. And I know like most the real estate investors, especially like anyone who's been flipping, has been hurting, even if they're faking it. Like, no, we're hurting everyone. And
Hmm.
even like people like Ryan, like the moment I saw him launch like more businesses or like open up a studio in his office, I was like, oh, this is a new income source that we're trying to bring because it'll offset the losses of real estate.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah, yeah. And um, have you seen, I guess, a certain type of deal work with future flippers or wealthy investors? Like, have you seen like certain people being successful in a certain area, like a type of transaction again, like as I say, or is it just kind of been like same sort of thing, mishmash
Are,
of
are you talking about like wholesale, flip, rental? Like
I
what are
guess
you
I'm
talking?
asking like the people that are part of wealthy investors.
Hmm?
What have you seen been successful in the past like year or so?
It's been anyone who's committed to their marketing process. Like, and that doesn't matter what exit strategy they chose. So it doesn't matter whether they're choosing wholesaling, rentals, or flips. It's just anyone who's like gone all in on whether they chose cold calling homeowners, texting homeowners, calling agents, while making offers on the MLS. They just did 1,000 times the work. Like
Hmm.
it was really that. Um, yeah, there are strategies to make it easier, but you don't know that until you start doing until you start picking a marketing channel.
Hmm. Hmm. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Right now, it's also I know it's been harder for people on market. It has for me. So I've done more off market recently. I've been bringing it back to the cold calls. Um, I think a lot of people have been experiencing that.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Um, it's a challenging thing to kind of get going in the beginning. Those off market cold calls and whatnot. Um,
Hmm.
but every step of the process is challenging. So
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing, man, is like the moments you start to feel uncomfortable, you're probably doing the right thing. Like
yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
moment when you make that low offer, when you make a cold call, like you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, no, it's a fun and frustrating and time consuming process, but you learn a lot along the way. Um, there was something I was looking at. Oh, on the website, I didn't. I don't think that the Burr calculator is kind of done very well. So I was looking at like I subscribed to like the Bigger Pockets one,
Mhm.
and I've been using that one. Do you think that's a good do, or do you think that there's like another calculator somewhere that works well?
I haven't even looked at our Burr calculator. I've
Yeah,
been using
it's
the max offer one. I think if you think a bigger pockets one works better, use it for sure.
yeah. Yeah. I just thought that the wealthy investors one was very simple.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Great.
But yeah, it's just picking a marketing strategy. And I'm assuming you work like at least 8 hours. It sounded like you were full time a day.
Hmm.
So then it's just finding a way to squeeze the time in to do something. And if
Hmm.
it's not going to be you that's going to be doing the marketing efforts, like if you, I don't know if you're going to hire a virtual assistant to do cold calls for you, text for you, or whatever, or you're going to do it. You just had to like be super consistent with it, not let that drop. Even if it's an extra hour a day, 2 hours a day, three. Uh, like, what do you do outside of work? Are you busy outside of work?
Um, in terms of like kind of working on a business or anything like that, like no. Um,
Yeah.
I have a dog and a girl. That's kind of what takes up a lot of my time, I would say.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Working out and working out and having a dog and a girlfriend.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. So I guess, yeah. What would you do? Because when I was first getting started and I got my first deal, I think it took me 6 months, and I was making consistent offers on the MLS, and it was just one offer a day at night. And these are not even super low offers, but because when I got my first one, I was still in college, and I was senior in college, full time student, full time plus worker, like 50 hours a week with just multiple minimum wage jobs. Um, and at like 10 p.m. every single night, I was just making an off. I was analyzing a deal, crunching the numbers. I would just text my realtor. It's like, hey, can we offer this on this property? And I just did that
Mm,
every day for 6 months. It would have been faster if I had like an hour, 2 hours a day, and actually reaching out to realtors, the listing agents. But we just use what we got. As long as you don't stop,
hmm
you're okay.
hmm hmm No, it's definitely a consistent. Consistent game, and kind of just being in the market all the time, and um, adjusting your strategy, and adjusting your offer prices, and kind of just you got to stay consistent with it. I think that's definitely the name of the game,
Yeah,
as is everything else.
yeah. It's like
Studying or working at, or all that stuff. It's just being
finding out
consistent.
ways to save time is everything too. Be
Hmm
more efficient. Like, for the longest time, I actually changed this recently. For example, for the longest time, I'd work out, 2 hours a day. It was usually the mornings I'd work out. And finally, I was like, dude, I've been doing this for so long. Is there a way I can actually squeeze activity and calories burned without having to like go to the gym and waste 2 hours? And I realized like a lot of my portion was cardio at the gym because I just want to walk and stay healthy. So I was like, what if I just got like a little walking pad, walking desk, treadmill thing?
Yeah.
And so now for like the beginning of my day when I'm up early, when I would be working out anyways, I'm just at my desk actually doing my social media stuff, whether it's editing, cropping, planning at the standing desk and like finding a way to squeeze 2 hours of walking or 3 hours of walking. It's like, oh, now instead of going to the gym for 2 hours, like at the end of the day, I'll just work out for 30 minutes of just pure resistance.
hmm
Um, so it's
hmm
just like the little things, man, of how can I squeeze the work that I know needs to be done?
Yeah. Um, all right. Cut it short, but I do have a call at 1, so I don't want to
Yep.
go over more than 5 minutes or so.
No, all good, man. But I mean, I hope this was helpful. And if you just need anything else, reach out to me. I'm happy to help, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you for kind of giving the call. I appreciate that. Um, I'm assuming that my membership is coming up in a month or something like that, right?
I have no idea.
Oh, you don't know?
Like,
Okay. I just assume that you guys are reaching out because I think it's like a year. I don't know. It's been about a year, maybe 11 months.
oh, I didn't know that. No, because I've been trying to reach out just to rookie students, and I was like, give me a list of the active students. I don't even know who's active. And so they sent me a list. I was like, perfect. So I just want to reach out to everyone to actually just connect and do random coaching calls. So that was why.
Oh, okay. Great. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I found it, it's been helpful. So thank you for reaching out, and I guess I got to kind of find out. Do you have any idea of like the auto charge or anything like that? I'm
Who auto
assuming it's like a
chargers?
like wealthy investor, if there's like an auto like annual like I don't want to be like charged like
I don't think so.
3,000.
I think
Okay.
I think people have to choose to renew. But I'm not. I don't know. Don't hold me to that. So like,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
ask someone. Yeah.
I'll
I just know I wasn't
yeah,
auto charge or anything like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I'll figure it out. Cool.
Yeah,
Great.
man.
All right.
But
Thank you. Appreciate it.
we'll talk later then, man. All right.
Yeah. All right.
See ya.
Enjoy the week.